Did you know Michael Jackson made a shocking prophecy before his untimely death? Something so eerie, it left those close to him speechless. What if I told you the king of pop, known for his music, moonwalk, and unmatched genius, also had a haunting prediction about the future?
Pray. I'm seeing a great star from the wall shouting, hey, 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 in his own area. It's famous, it's known everywhere. Great, too great. Because I see something begin to happen to that star, and that may likely end him to pack his load and go to the journey on no return. But I don't know when that journey.
This isn't just another conspiracy or tabloid story. Michael's words weren't random. They were calculated, emotional, and deeply revealing. His message wasn't just about him. It was about all of us. What did he know? And why did he warn us before it was too late? Today, we're diving deep into the chilling prophecy Michael Jackson made before passing, what it could mean, and why it's more relevant now than ever before.
I believe in spirituality, and I believe in a higher source such as God. I read everything.
So get ready, because by the end of this, you'll see the king of pop in a whole new light. Michael Jackson wasn't just an entertainer, he was an observer of the world. Beneath the glitz and glamour, he carried a profound concern for humanity's future. While most people saw him as the king of pop, dazzling crowds with his moonwalk and record-breaking albums, Michael was also a deeply reflective individual, tuned into the issues affecting the planet. He wasn't simply singing for applause, he was singing to awaken us. Many people think of his music as just a collection of iconic hits, but have you truly listened to songs like Earth Song or Heal the World? These tracks weren't just chart toppers, they were heartfelt pleas, laced with urgency and a haunting awareness of humanity's destructive path. Earth Song, for instance, wasn't just about lamenting environmental degradation. It was a visceral cry for accountability. Every lyric, every note seemed to ask, what are we doing to our home?
Did you ever not to notice this crying earth, this weeping strong?
In Heal the World, Michael's message was equally poignant. He wasn't just asking us to care for others, he was calling for a global shift in mindset, one where love and empathy take precedence over greed and indifference. These weren't just songs, they were warnings, layered with Michael's hope that the power of music could spark change.
There are people dying, if you care enough for the living.
But Michael didn't keep these concerns confined to his art. In private conversations, he often voiced his fears about the planet's future. Those who knew him personally describe a man who was deeply troubled by what he saw in the world: deforestation, pollution, and the unchecked greed fueling climate change. Long before global warming became a widely discussed crisis, Michael was already ringing the alarm bells.
This guy had the biggest heart of anybody and really did care about improving, the human condition. That was part of his mission.
He once said, "If we don't act now, we won't have a planet to live on." This wasn't hyperbole. It was the stark truth he believed in. Michael understood that humanity's choices were pushing the Earth to its breaking point. From the Amazon rainforest shrinking at an alarming rate to the growing industrial waste poisoning rivers and oceans, he saw it all. And more importantly, he felt a responsibility to speak out. This deep concern wasn't just abstract, it was personal. Michael's love for nature was evident in everything he did, from the tranquil spaces he created at Neverland Ranch to his passionate philanthropy. He often spoke of feeling a spiritual connection to the earth, referring to it as a gift we were all entrusted to protect. For him, the destruction of the environment wasn't just a scientific problem, it was a moral one.
As my pastime, fun. Can't compare it to performing. But other people play football, basketball, I like to climb trees.
But it wasn't just the environment that weighed heavily on his heart. Michael feared for humanity's future in every sense. Wars tearing nations apart, systemic inequality leaving millions voiceless, and an alarming decline in empathy among people all deeply troubled him. He often spoke about how greed and hatred were poisoning humanity's soul, creating divisions that could lead to irreversible consequences. Michael believed that if we didn't change course, if we didn't prioritize compassion, unity, and justice over power and profit, our collective path would lead to destruction. For him, these issues were urgent crises that demanded immediate action, both individually and globally. Michael's warnings may not have been shouted from podiums or featured in political debates, but they were there, woven into his songs, his interviews, and his personal reflections. And now, as we look back, his words feel less like a distant concern and more like an urgent prophecy coming true.
This is it. I mean, this is really it. This is the final curtain call.
In one of his final interviews, Michael shared a cryptic yet powerful statement that lingered in the minds of those who heard it. He said, "The world is sick. We're killing it. And we're killing ourselves in the process." These weren't just words. They were a stark reflection of the pain he felt about the state of the world. Michael wasn't one to shy away from uncomfortable truths, and those closest to him have spoken about how these concerns often kept him awake at night. He would pore over stories of environmental degradation, global unrest, and human suffering, feeling helpless yet determined to raise awareness. Michael's heartbreak was rooted in watching humanity drift further from harmony with nature, from peace with one another, and from a collective sense of morality. The greed he saw dominating decisions on both small and global scales troubled him deeply. He believed it was greed, not necessity, that was fueling wars, destroying ecosystems, and breaking down the very fabric of society. It's almost as if Michael Jackson knew something the rest of us didn't. Looking back at his words and actions, one can't help but wonder, could he have foreseen the rise of global crises that dominate headlines today? The world he described, one overwhelmed by climate disasters, escalating wars, and widening social divides, bears a striking resemblance to the challenges we face now. His fears about a disconnect between humanity and nature seem eerily prescient in an era of record-breaking deforestation, wildfires, and extreme weather events. Similarly, his concerns about the loss of empathy and growing conflicts resonate strongly in a world fractured by division and distrust. Was Michael simply more attuned to the signs of the times, or did he possess an extraordinary ability to see where humanity was headed if it didn't change course?
I realize that many of our world's problems today, from the inner city crime to large-scale wars and terrorism and our overcrowded prisons, are a result of the fact that children have had their childhood stolen from them.
The legend didn't just speak about his fears, he transformed them into powerful art that transcended entertainment. Earthsong was more than a song, it was a call to action, a plea for humanity to wake up to the destruction it was causing. Every lyric carried the weight of his concern for the planet, and when he performed it live, the emotion was palpable. His voice, raw with urgency, resonated like a desperate cry for help, while his stage presence captivated audiences, urging them to feel his pain and act on it. This wasn't just a performance, it was Michael's way of shaking us out of complacency, of making us confront the harm we were inflicting on the earth and each other. With every note, he challenged us to look around and ask, what are we doing to the world we've been given?
What have we done to the world? Look what we've done.
Michael's lyrics weren't just about personal struggles or fleeting emotions. They often carried messages of healing, not just for individuals, but for the planet and humanity as a whole. In Man in the Mirror, he challenged us to take responsibility for change, delivering a timeless reminder that it all starts with looking inward. The song's powerful refrain, "If you want to make the world a better place, take a look at yourself and make a change,"
If you wanna make the world a better place, take a look at yourself and make a change.
remains one of the most resonant calls to action in music history. And in Heal the World, he expanded his message of compassion, urging us to care for others, especially those who are most vulnerable. It wasn't just about fixing environmental damage or political strife. It was about restoring humanity's capacity for empathy and love. Together, these songs form a blueprint for the kind of world Michael envisioned, one built on understanding, action, and kindness.
Heal the world, make it a better place.
According to those who knew him best, Michael Jackson's concerns about the world grew more urgent in the months leading up to his death. His longtime friend and confidant, Deepak Chopra, has shared how Michael often voiced his fears about humanity's trajectory. Their private conversations revealed a side of Michael few people got to see, a deeply reflective and sensitive soul who felt the weight of the world on his shoulders. Chopra described how Michael believed the world was teetering on the edge, with greed and power driving humanity away from compassion and unity. These weren't passing thoughts, they were deeply held beliefs that consumed him. Michael's words were like warnings, spoken not in anger, but in sadness, as he watched society drift further from the values he held dear. The pop icon once said, We've become so focused on greed and power that we've forgotten what it means to be human.
All I can say is, deep inside his heart, he was a very precious and pure and innocent being. That's all I can say.
This haunting statement encapsulates his view of a world obsessed with materialism, where empathy and kindness seem to be fading into the background. For Michael, humanity's increasing detachment from its core values was a tragedy he could not ignore. He believed that without a shift in priorities, away from the pursuit of wealth and dominance and toward connection and compassion, the world would spiral further into chaos. His words weren't just philosophical musings, they were heartfelt pleas for a better, more conscious way of living.
That it is our power to change the world that our children live in.
What's truly chilling is how accurate Michael's fears turned out to be. Take a hard look at the state of the world today. Devastating climate emergencies, wars that seem to have no end, and an ever-widening gap between people, politically, socially, and economically. Michael's warnings, dismissed by some as overly idealistic at the time, now feel eerily prophetic. He saw the signs of impending crises long before they became unavoidable realities. His words, once spoken with urgency, have become a mirror, reflecting the consequences of inaction and apathy. One of Michael's greatest fears was that humanity would ignore the warning signs until it was too late. And let's be honest, aren't we seeing that happen now? Wildfires, floods, conflicts, rising sea levels. These are the very things he sang about decades ago.
What have we done to the world? Look what we've done.
But his message wasn't just doom and gloom. Michael believed in the power of change. He believed in us. Michael's chilling prophecy wasn't meant to scare us, it was meant to inspire us. He wanted us to open our eyes, to take responsibility, and to act before it's too late. He believed that we could heal the world, but only if we came together. As you think about his words today, ask yourself, are we doing enough? Are we honoring his message, or are we letting it fade into the background?
If you care enough for the living, make a little space, make a better place.
Subscribe for more content like this, and hit the thumbs up to like this video if you enjoyed it.